Hello and welcome to another 12 volt wiring video. When we purchased this Caravan, I had the 400 by 400mm roof opening light above the kitchen here replaced with an extractor fan, the Omnivent. It's really good for extracting cooking smells and warm air during the hotter summer months. And what I did do is I wired it by creating my own wiring loom and purchasing my own wire and taping it all together with Loom tape, and purchased the correct crimp-on connecting plug, and it plugged into the dedicated connector behind a panel here inside a cupboard, and that goes to its own dedicated roof fan fuse in the fuse box. This is the roof fan fuse. About a year ago I made a video on the operation of the Omnivent and how I wired it up. At the time of wiring, I couldn't find the correct colour coding to match the factory wiring. So what I did was purchase red for live and black for earth. But now I've discovered that you can buy the correct factory extension harness for roof fans. So I've gone and bought one. Roof fan extension 12 volt harness. So what I'm going to do in this video is take out my wiring and replace it with the genuine wiring harness for roof fans. So here's the Omnivent, and if I get it the right angle you can probably see the trunking going through the ceiling. That's fitted during Caravan manufacture. The first job is in this cupboard. I'll take this panel off, take the screw caps off, take the screws out, panel off, and in here this is the roof fan connector, and this is my wiring loom, the black and red wire. So take the connector off. This here was the dedicated connector that was already in here, fitted at the factory. What I'll do is take my wire out, my wiring loom, and I need to take that trim off. And this is where my wiring loom enters the ceiling trunking. We'll go over to the Omnivent next. What I'll do now is take these two screws out to take the surrounding trim off. Now we've got 4 screws, one in each corner. Take those out. Disconnect from my loom. This is my wiring loom, which goes into the ceiling trunking. The ceiling trunking is just behind these trims. It runs here, and it runs straight through to the other side of the Caravan. These terminal spade connectors were already on the wires. I'll pull the wiring loom through a little bit, and what I'm going to do is cut these connectors off. I'm going to tape this cable draw line on the end of these wires. And now I'm going to pull it through to the cupboard. got to take the ceiling light off because the cable is snagging on these connectors, so that's made the trunking a bit clearer now. Set the draw lines through. Take the tape off. That's the wiring loom out. I'll keep that because it might come in handy for a future project. Get the new wiring loom out. Because the new harness has the male plug on the end, the same as what's behind the panel, so you can't plug those together, I'm going to thread the other end of the new harness from the Omnivent through to this side. I don't want to be drawing all 30 metres of the draw line through, so I'm going to tape the other end of the draw line onto this end. I'm going to pull that through now to the Omnivent end. That's through. So I'm going to tape this end of the harness onto the draw line. I'm going to pull that through. You'll be able to see my new harness go by in this ceiling light wiring cutout. There you go. And it's through. Thread it through the wiring cutout in the panel. What I've got now is a two-way connector, comes with crimp-on terminals. Crimp these onto the end of the wires and slot them into the plastic plug. The connector comes from the wiring harness manufacturer and it's exactly the same. Because the other end connects directly onto that. So I'm going to crimp these two terminals onto the end of the new harness, but we've got to make sure the correct terminals are used because one is bigger than the other. One's a female, one's a male. And these are the ones that fit in there. They've crimped on perfect. Now the crimp-on terminals can be slotted into the plastic plug, so we've got to get the correct orientation of the plug so that will slot on that way. So the white wire goes to the top, so keeping it that way up, so that will slide, get it in the terminal in the correct way round, it will push in then, clip in place. That's in. And this one that's in. So they should just clip together. There you go. So we've got a white to white and blue red to blue red. We'll leave that disconnected for now until we've wired the Omnivent. And I'm going to snip these spade connections off. Strip the ends of the wires. I'm going to put these crimp-on terminals on. That's the black one. It's good. Again, we have to get the plug orientation correct, so that will slot on that way. So black wire to white wire, which is ground, so that is top one. Take that off, keep it in the correct position, and that will slide on that way. In. So the red one goes in this one. Get it the correct way round, because this clips in and the clip stops it pulling back out. That's in. There you go, that looks professional. There you go. You can put the framework back on. It's a little bit awkward. You don't want to over tighten because of stripping the plastic threads. Again, we don't want to over tighten. That's the Omnivent side complete. ceiling light can go back on. Put a pencil mark here on the side of the lamp and on the ceiling so I can align the light back up into the correct position. Back over at this end, just tidy the wiring up a bit. We can get this trim back on. And we can plug it in. There you go, factory colour coding. Tuck that in there, put the panel back on, screw caps back on, we'll see if it works. I'm confident it will. Yeah, that's fine. And that's job complete. Although there was never anything wrong with the wiring I fitted originally, I was never 100% happy with it because it wasn't the factory colour coding. But now I fitted the genuine extension harness for roof fans, I am 100% happy. It plugs into the dedicated connector behind the panel. I've got the two-way plug fitted at the Omnivent. And if anybody ever takes the Omnivent cover off or the panel off, they'll think the wiring's been factory fitted. And that's the genuine wiring harness from the manufacturers of wiring harnesses for caravans and motorhomes, and the genuine two-way connector from the same company. The more recent Bailey caravans don't even have a dedicated roof fan fuse in the fuse box, it just says spare. So that indicates there may not be a dedicated connector behind any of the panels. It's a shame really, because for such a large caravan manufacturer, they don't even offer it as an option, whereas manufacturers such as Swift do offer it as an option, or it's a standard fit on certain models. I hope you found this interesting and see you next time.